This is me. You're probably wondering how I got into this situation. At the beginning of the live-action Grinch movie, there's this small exchange between Cindy and her dad that, on reflection, is surprisingly abstract.
You see, Cindy, the Grinch is a who, well, is actually not a who, he's more of a
what?
Exactly, honey. And he's a what who doesn't like Christmas.
Despite having a mailbox and having been raised with everyone else, the average Whoville citizen does not consider the Grinch to be a fully fledged person. Yet, outside of his lack of interest towards a particular ceremony, they can never clearly define why he is bad. They more easily detail that he is something else, a what, but that only begs a further question. Who is a who, and what is a what? This video is an analysis / in-depth exploration of the turn-of-the-century film How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Even though the film rests within this weird uncanny valley of modern-day holiday classic while also being critically panned during its initial release, How the Grinch Stole Christmas is dense with ideas in regards to trauma, belief systems, ontology, discrimination, and identity that make the film interesting. Exploring how the film succeeds and fails to discuss these topics will be the goal of this video, and it will hopefully lead to some half-decent insights along the way. With that being said, let's get started. To begin, let's go back to the 1966 animated short, How the Grinch Stole Christmas. In this, the film is interested in analyzing the lengths people will go to justify their own cynicism, ignorance, and capacity to hurt other people in light of one's own inability to empathize. The Whos do not bar the Grinch from taking part in their Christmas Eve jubilations. Instead, it's implied the Grinch lives in a self-imposed isolation. The Grinch is a self-perceived external force that supposedly is this great disruptor when they never had a chance to ruin anything. Because the Grinch never fundamentally understood what the Whos actually cared about, nor bothered to care to learn. Any division the Grinch saw between himself and the Whos was pathologically constructed by the Grinch himself. The vacuous excesses of Christmas were merely embellishments upon a holiday about the bliss of community. The film tells us that solipsism is bad, that to ignore others and their wishes is only going to deprive you from the beauty of the human experience. And even though events like Christmas can be a bit extravagant, fundamentally, holidays like Christmas were and will be about taking time to connect with other people for its own sake. The onus is on the Grinch to change himself, because the Whos were always fundamentally pure-hearted. In contrast, 2000's Whoville is a society that, while good, is compromised by several glaring issues. One defining characteristic of Whoville is its strong cultural coherency. Christmas is a holiday that every Who partakes in and tries earnestly to put in as much effort as possible. It is the undisclosed expectation that each member of Whoville seek their own meaning and expression within the cultural prism of Christmas, and treat the day with the same degree of reverence in a way not dissimilar to religion. Lou Who is motivated through caring for his family, whereas Mayor May Who is driven through opportunities of self-aggrandizement and the assertion of the rule of law. But in reverse, those who lack the same degree of enthusiasm are subjected to social ostracification.
The term Grinchy shall apply when Christmas spirit is in short supply. Now I ask you, does that sound like our holiday cheermeister?
This is where we learn another key characteristic of Whoville. Its society is incredibly moralistic and legalistic. Christmas is treated with the same degree of reverence as any other religious holiday, and failing to respect those basic foundations is a moral failing. But you aren't admonished like in our world. Instead, you are reviled and feared as if you broke the law, because you did. You were seen as someone who actively corrodes social order, and thus can't even be spoken about. The only way Cindy Lou Who could argue for the Grinch becoming holiday cheermeister was through a series of legal technicalities that, on paper, would normally exclude someone so ostensibly alien. Cindy Lou is not merely afraid of her own belief systems collapsing if Christmas continues being an emotionally unfulfilling experience. She runs the risk of becoming becoming completely excommunicated from her family and community. As a child precocious and curious, Cindy naturally finds someone like the Grinch appealing, not just because he is intelligent and well-spoken like her, but he is creative, subversively kind, and his whole lifestyle is childishly fun. But conversely, Cindy finds a chilling fascination in the Grinch.
I myself am having some Yuletide doubts. But maybe if you can reunite with the Who's and be a part of Christmas,
Maybe if you can reunite with the Who's and be a part of Christmas.
Grow up!
then maybe it'll be alright for me too.
Cindy must find her own means of enjoying Christmas because she understands that she, worst case scenario, becomes the Grinch. Because she sees so much of herself in him, if the Grinch can be included, then why can't she? Then the holiday would have a reason for existing, because otherwise, isn't it kind of superfluous? Christmas in The Grinch is not merely a holiday, nor an ostensibly religious celebration. It is a tool of social coercion and power, one that the mayor enforces through his own possessiveness and need for control. Those who conform to the system, or better yet, reinforce it through performance, are deemed to be proper, while those who question the system or show skepticism towards the unceasing weight of its cultural events are designated as bad-mannered subversives, a Grinch. Martha May Whovier is drawn to the Grinch because he does not conform to Whovian conceptions of normalcy or proper manners. He can be her vicarious means of escape, even if brief, from her elite role in the system. Fundamentally, even if Who's are good-natured, they default to the aesthetic markers of the in-group and ostracize the out-group. In this context, we can answer the video's questions. A Who is someone who reinforces and conforms to the system while harboring certain physical markers. A What is someone who lacks those things. If you lack passion for Christmas, if you have non-standard skin tone or facial hair, then you become a victim to discrimination and bullying. But given that Who identity is so closely tied with certain holidays, then any kind of alienation will, by proxy, further alienate you from those days. And once you are exorcised from Whoville, you aren't liberated from a restrictive system like in Disney's Frozen. You are then subjected to consistent humiliation, being forced to sustain your living through rotten fruit and tossed away scrap. And you are implicitly excluded from almost all aspects of public life. You are still acknowledged in that you can theoretically still receive postage, but at this point no one dares to contact you out of fear of you or contracting whatever it was that made you what you are. Cindy is at this kind of risk when questioning any of the Christmas traditions, regardless of how over-the-top or ostentatious those events are. How the Grinch Stole Christmas presents a unique view on systemic oppression. Now, how does the film resolve this issue? Well,
He said he was sorry.
the live-action Grinch movie does little to truly acknowledge what it's even depicting, nor rectify it in any meaningful way. Once the Grinch is acknowledged in doing one good thing, then all is forgiven, and he is easily integrated back into the community, without seemingly any substantial compensation or reparation. When the Grinch wasn't subjected to police brutality and was acquitted on any potential burglary and property damage charges, it wasn't because unnecessary police violence against an ethnic group is wrong. It's because the Grinch seemingly relayed genuine remorse and returned the items he stole. It's more so about upholding the communal spirit of the holiday and, in a very Christian-like way, turning the other cheek. There is not a moment where any character indicates that the way the Grinch was treated was wrongly directed at him, but merely an implication that the Who's collective judgments were wrong. Alright guys, maybe this 40 years of systemic oppression thing might have been jumping the gun just a little bit, but this disconnect between the film and its social commentary is frankly consistent throughout all of its thematic through lines. The live-action Grinch movie is a critique of the way late 20th century capitalism has corrupted the holiday of Christmas, where the event has been completely sublimated into the late capitalist conceptions of success and ego. Each aspect is consumed with excessive levels of spectacle that desaturate any genuine meaning the tradition could provide. And while one wouldn't say any of its elements in isolation are meaningless or it's a waste to pursue fun, it does make you question if this is what the day is actually about. This, among others, is the ontological question Cindy is trying to navigate throughout the film. Are the things I valued about Christmas have anything to do with the holiday in practice? Am I too different to enjoy the holiday now? If this holiday is just a series of over-the-top events that I don't get anything out of, then why do I continue participating in the holiday at all? Yet, the Grinch's critique of this fundamental dissonance doesn't really have anything to do with his philosophy at the beginning of the film, nor his realization by the end of the film. The Grinch soapboxes and commits acts of terror under the pretenses of a polemic on the consumerist nature of Christmas, with it being tacky, wasteful, and distasteful. But that is ultimately due to feeling betrayed multiple times, first by the mayor and subsequently the town, and thirdly by Martha May. There's the loosest connection possible between the Grinch talking about gifts as concepts and the Grinch being deeply hurt by two gifts. The Grinch's childhood wasn't ruined because of capitalism, it was completely disrupted due to discrimination. The mayor doesn't hate the Grinch because he wants to marginalize a potential agitator that could overthrow the consumerist system. He oppresses him because of feelings of actual inferiority. This leads to the revelation the Grinch has about the meaning of Christmas feeling muddied and disjointed in execution. In trying to add more elements and make the film more complex, How the Grinch Stole Christmas ends up creating a work that is thematically disassociated, and relies far too much on the audience filling in the gaps with various cultural presumptions about Christmas. The original cartoon had a clear point, but with a fair degree of nuance and ambiguity in its messaging. How the Grinch Stole Christmas vividly depicts its satire, but it fails to effectively tie everything together into something cohesive, and in turn completely misses the point of the original work. In the climax of the film, Whoville confidently asserts that it remembers what the holiday is about. After all, their gifts are gone. All they have is each other, which is fundamentally Christmas, your family and your community. However, will this change anything? Will Whoville be able to temper the neurotic fervor around Christmas and tone down its traditions to become more inclusive to different kinds of people? While the film doesn't need to lay out a detailed solution to its problems, the Grinch leaves things so unclear that it doesn't even feel necessary to deduce, because it doesn't seem like the film terribly cares to entertain curiosity at all. Thank you for joining me for this over-analysis of Jim Carrey's Grinch. This video has been in the works for years, but I am happy to finally bring it out of production limbo. I do want to say that I do like this film, so this was a project born out of love and passion, rather than trying to cynically cash in on nostalgia bait. While I can't necessarily say when the next video will be out, any engagement that I receive on these videos, such as liking, subscribing, or commenting, or checking the Patreon, definitely acts as forms of motivation. Either way, thank you for watching, and take care.